Well, let's hope that's behaving. Do you want to just get everything on one?
Um, I don't know if I need to do anything on Zoom.
Yeah, just you want to share it in Zoom, right?
Yeah. I think maybe I have to.
And then go full screen. No, it's good. Now, once you're in here, you can also hide that or leave that or move off to the side.
Okay.
You want to just hide it? You can hide it completely if you want.
Yeah, I was looking for the.
If you go up to this guy here, go to more,
Mhm.
that'd be hide video panel. And then if you want to hide this, that's called hide floating meeting controls.
Okay.
And then just to bring it back, just hit escape
Okay.
if you need it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're good. Oh, for the camera, are you just going to use this camera?
Yeah, that's fine. They don't need to see the room.
Okay. So you want me to go ahead and hide that again? So that's hide float meeting controls.
Okay.
And again, just escape brings it back.
Okay.
Now you're kind of good.
Cool. Hopefully
Mic is on. Yeah, I think if we don't touch it, it seems like it's working.
Okay.
Wait, this. Oh, this will appear whenever someone comes in.
Mhm.
We could turn off the waiting room
Um,
so you don't have to let people in.
I have Meg coming and I might have her kind of manage and then I might just pop the hosting over to pass it over.
Okay, so they're gonna have another laptop in here?
I think so.
Okay, so the trick with that is just as long as the volume's all the way down and they don't turn on
Mhm.
and they don't join the audio.
Mhm.
That'll be
Okay.
fine. So we'll leave the waiting room.
Yeah,
Do you want to pause the recording or just let it go and edit it out later?
we can edit it out later.
Okay.
Yeah, and I might just turn off the waiting room once we actually start.
Cool. Yeah, it's only been emailed to people from MassArt, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that should be fine.
Yeah, no, it's closed.
Cool. So obviously for that, we need the meeting controls.
More tech support.
Yes. We got you covered. It's being slightly wonky, but I replugged it in. It seems okay. Okay, maybe. It's a genre or I don't know, but I'm not going to touch it. Seems weird. But we should put a backup dongle.
Like one of these.
Yeah.
I got one.
Oh, you did?
So if it goes wonky, I could.
Yeah, I would try that first. This is obviously the cable that goes to it, but. It turned out they needed this mic anyway. Though actually your internal mic would have been fine.
Okay.
If somebody see it.
Yeah.
So it's not super urgent. In fact, do we even choose that?
I thought you clicked join computer audio when you did it.
Blue Snowball, yeah. So it's using that, but yeah, for talking, that's probably fine too, but.
Okay.
We could put that where it puts up the audience questions. If you want.
I mean, we don't necessarily need to, I can repeat them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You want to- I think someone else is going to show up and maybe join the meeting. And then you're on the chat. Once everything's going, I'm gonna grab a lemon.
Yes. Here's the. The Zoom mic. I'm logged in, but more for like if there's questions or admitting people. Once we start, we can probably turn off the waiting room.
Yeah, and so you can take care of the main session and I'll take care of the chat.
But once you join, I'll give you the hosting privileges so you can.
Yeah.
So.
So when they come in, I wanna like give up these materials,
I feel like we could put the raffle someplace so they don't have to come up to me.
like, you can put like the raffle over there and like a seat.
Yeah.
So should I just hand this out once we started
Another backup.
Okay.
or just?
We can start handing it out.
Big crowd.
Yeah. 69 signed up. We'll see how many.
Right.
I wasn't sure if she had like a, either camera or.
This is
Yeah,
fine.
for some reason did I know this was a hybrid thing? We do have a camera, but it's hooked up to
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
machine. But if you wanted, she just using the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was gonna be a big deal to have her on there or just have her voice. So,
Oh, and then when you join, just make sure, don't turn the audio and still put your volume all the way down.
yeah,
You can make you a co-host.
I think we'll wait a minute for that. When you join,
once, to pass those out, like as soon as we talk about the other events that come down.
let me know when you're in and I'll look for you. Hey, everyone, we're just getting set up. We're gonna start in a few minutes and let a few latecomers trickle in, but.
You can bring a little box too, if you want to lift up the computer.
I think it's fine.
All right.
I don't. There's.
It's, I mean, it's in the event. And I thought I added you as alternate host, but you can go through the event.
That's, I don't see it on the event.
I could hide the screen if you want to like email it. Real quick, want to do that?
You can do invite.
Just turn off the screen temporarily. Hold on.
It's not coming up on my side,
No.
sorry.
What's good is whenever you're in a meeting,
Mhm.
if you put your mouse. Wait, I don't know if it works while we're sharing. It's like. A way to see the link that you're in. I think we'd have to stop.
It's in a handshake.
Oh.
Um, It's not working out. Are you finding it in the handshake event?
Let's see it.
Oh, she got.
And now this.
I'll see if you want to check the Huntington, make sure that it's.
Yeah, I mean. They're just like hidden in the description somewhere. Right.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
So,
You can turn off the waiting room or let people.
okay.
And then just when you're done, just turn off the projector and
Okay.
everyone else can stay in.
Cool.
All right, you're good, right?
Okay, cool. Thank you for your help. Cool. Okay. Hello, everyone. We're going to get started. I think the first thing is that we are doing a raffle for a Starbucks gift card for people who are attending either in person or virtually. So we put a QR code for you to scan to enter the raffle set in the back on the chair.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can go back there and scan that. So you'll want to do that. So thank you all for coming to the internship information session. My name is Rebecca Wright. I'm the acting director of career development, and I also manage the internship program. I also have Ben Benson here, who's going to join the presentation. He works in career development and helps with resumes and program support, and is also a resource for you for when you're looking for internships. And then we have Meg Gatterman, who is doing tech support with our online people, and will be monitoring the chat and checking on if there's any questions or issues as we go forward. And Meg, are you sharing the raffle with the
Yep.
folks virtually as well? Okay,
Grab the
cool.
link.
Cool. So
Turn off the waiting room.
yeah. Meg, are you able to turn off the waiting room?
Yeah, I thought I did. I was in there again.
Okay. Okay, cool. So we're going to get started. So I'm just showing you a little bit about today's topics. Hold on, let me hide this panel so it's prettier. Okay, so today we're going to cover MassArts internship program, the structure and the requirements. Then we're going to talk a little bit about resumes, and then probably one of your big questions is getting an internship and what that looks like. And then we'll touch on $2,000 internship awards. We're going to stop at that point for questions. And then after that, Maggie Sherlin from the International Education Center is going to talk about internships for F1 students. So if you're not an F1 student, you don't necessarily need to stay for that part. But that's kind of where we're going to answer some of those questions if you are. So to get started, so first of all, the internship program. So MassArt has a credit-bearing internship program. That means that if you're doing an internship, you can get 3 elective credits towards your degree for doing that internship. So it's another way you can kind of meet graduation requirements while also getting professional experience off campus. We generally recommend that students do 1 to 2 internships before you graduate. And I want to stress kind of before you graduate, because being a student is very valuable. Many employers, when they're looking to hire interns, they ask for current students. So once you graduate, there are some employers who do hire recent graduates for internships, but it might be a lower number. So you'll have more access to opportunities while you're a current student. Typically, most students start doing internships after completing sophomore year through senior year. And that's because internships typically connect to your major, and sophomore year is your first year in your major. So you're getting sort of foundational skills in your major, and then that's what would qualify you for doing an internship. There are some exceptions to this. So if you're looking to do an internship before then, you can always reach out and we can talk one-on-one and see what the options are. But this is just kind of a ballpark of what most students do and what's typical. So when it comes to an internship, like when you hear the word internship, people often use the term very loosely. They sometimes say internship and mean unpaid, volunteer, just a student working at a company. However, when it becomes an internship for credit, there's more structure involved. So that means it's a student who's working at a company with an approved mentor, and then MassArt is supporting the experience and making sure it's educational. So there's more kind of requirements, but also more support when you're doing an internship. So the most important thing for doing an internship is that it's mentored by a professional in your industry. And this can be defined different ways. So it could be, if you're photography, you could be working as a camera assistant intern to a professional photographer. Could be a graphic designer with a professional graphic designer, a creative director. It could be an illustrator working with a professional artist who creates art or merchandise or sells something like that. So there's basically, it's sort of like a teacher-student relationship, but with a company. So that's the most important thing. And when you go to do an internship, you want to think about approaching it by looking for a professional who's doing something you're curious about maybe doing yourself, and looking for a way to kind of shadow or work with them and support them so you can kind of learn firsthand about the career path. So that's kind of like the key element of an internship. An internship, it can be with an established company, but it also could be with a nonprofit or other organization, or it could be with an artist in their own studio practice. So like a studio assistant internship. So it doesn't have to be a big company. It could be one person who works independently, as long as they have an established sort of work history and they have that professional expertise. The other part of the internship is it has to offer some pre-professional training. So it's going to be mostly for training. You're not going in as an expert in your field. You're going in as kind of someone who's in training to become eventually an expert. So that's the other part of it, is that you would get training during the internship. The other thing I want to say in terms of training, internships, they're primarily for training. So all of you are qualified to do an internship. You don't necessarily need previous related experience or work experience. Your current experience and your academics is what qualifies you to do an internship. It's a little bit different for a job when an employer is looking for someone who has a certain level of expertise to do the job. An internship is primarily to train someone to do a future career path. In terms of the logistics for credit, it's 3 elective credits. It's a minimum of 135 hours within a 15-week semester. So that means from the first day of classes to the last day of classes, you need to do a minimum of 135 hours within that time period. You can do more hours in a shorter amount of time, or you can do more than the 135. That's just the minimum, but that's kind of the ballpark. And then it has to fit within a semester. So that means fall semester, spring semester, or summer semester. So it can't straddle 2 semesters. It can't be like October through February. It would have to be either in the fall or in the spring. And then the schedule itself is flexible. So like I said, you could do more hours in a shorter amount of time. You can't necessarily go longer than the semester. But for example, fall and spring, most students do 10 to 20 hours a week during the academic year. And then in summer, you can do 10 to 40 hours a week. So some students do more, up to 40 hours a week. Sometimes if they're doing that much, they do a shorter internship and they take like a couple of weeks off. Sometimes it depends on the employer as well and their schedule. But it is flexible as long as you meet that minimum money fit within a semester. So money is a big thing on your mind when it comes to doing an internship. So the most important thing is that you can get credit for either a paid or an unpaid internship. And you might assume internships are unpaid, but actually a lot of them are paid. And I think in Handshake, when I looked at the numbers last week, about 80–90% that were listed in Handshake were paid. But the employers are the ones who kind of decide if an internship is paid or not. And it sometimes depends on the employer, the industry. Some industries, or like if it's a nonprofit employer, are less likely to be paid. So that's just something to be aware of. If you're thinking of doing a summer internship, which is the most popular time to do an internship, there's no charge for undergraduate students to register a summer internship for credit. So basically, you could possibly find a paid internship. You're not charged for summer credit. So that's kind of made that possible to make sure it's something you can easily access. So deadlines are really important because when it comes to internships for credit, it's just like a class. And so there's going to be the same deadlines. So in order to get credit, you have to register before you start the internship and by the internship deadline for that semester. And that's because you want to go into the internship knowing if you're getting credit and having that sort of kind of goals of what you're doing, the internship set up at the start. And also that means MassArt has reviewed it and approved it. And so there's some kind of oversight. Retroactive credit is not possible. So if you do a summer internship and you come back in September and ask me if you can get credit, I have to say no, like I don't have any flexibility on that. You have to register by the deadline in order to get credit. The credit is recorded in real time. So there's also assignments during the internship that have to be done in real time. So that's part of it as well. So for the upcoming deadlines, the deadline for registering a spring internship for credit was yesterday, February 4th. If any of you happen to have a spring internship and you want credit, I can't guarantee you can register, but if you do have a question, you just barely missed the deadline, do let me know. For summer, the deadline, there's kind of two deadlines, which is a little weird. We have the $2,000 award, which I'll talk more about, but to be considered for that, you would have to register your summer internship by May 23rd. However, if you miss that deadline, but you get an internship afterwards, you can still get credit by registering before June 17th. And the reason of the two deadlines is there's just a financial deadline that makes the award have to be an earlier date. So not everyone needs 3 elective credits, but some reasons why you should register for credit is if you're registered, you have support from MassArt. If you do have questions during your internship, your faculty know you're doing the internship. I know you're doing it. You can always come to us as a resource to help navigate anything. You also will get structured feedback that is documented from your supervisor, which is helpful. You're also in consideration for the $2,000 award if you're an undergraduate student. So by registering, you're automatically included in that consideration for that award. For F1 students, you are required to register for credit. So that's important to know as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Ben to talk about resumes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about resumes and cover letters. So you may be familiar with just the general idea of a resume, but it's something that you're all going to need to have on hand for applying to jobs and internships. And so because we know that, we've put together a helpful template, which you can actually find on our Career Services website. It's also available, if you just send us an email. But you can use this template, or there's plenty of other free resume templates online to sort of build a rough draft of your resume. And your resume is going to be sort of a bird's eye view of who you are, how you can be reached contact-wise, and then your qualifications to get the particular job that you're applying for. So that's going to be things like your education, any awards you've received, your work experience especially, as well as any other helpful information about who you are and what you've done in an academic and professional sense that would be helpful for employers to know. Other things can include skills and activities, technical skills especially. And so once you've built this sort of rough draft of resume, one of the things I really encourage you to do is to schedule a resume critique. That'll be with myself or one of my colleagues in Career Services. And that'll be a one-on-one appointment, either virtually or in person, where you can actually sit down with us and we'll just give you some feedback on your resume and some strategies for tailoring it to whatever sorts of jobs and internships that you're interested in applying for. Once you have had that meeting and you finalize your resume content, then you can take some time to make sure the formatting is the way you want it to look and you're putting your best foot forward when you submit that resume to employers. And another thing that you may have heard of that you always want to have with your resume is a cover letter. So I get asked a lot, do you need to have a cover letter? And the answer in almost every case is yes. Occasionally, employers will specify if they don't look at them, But your default should be that you're going to write a cover letter for every job that you apply to, and it should be customized for each application. Now, we'll talk about your resumes should often be customized as well for each individual application you submit, but even more so, cover letters should be something that you're writing a new one for each job that you're applying to, because this is where you really are able to put in narrative form some more details about who you are, really contextualize your resume and introduce yourself and your personality to the hiring manager. The real key with the cover letter is to demonstrate, why you're qualified for the internship and how you found out about the internship, but also show that you have taken the time to research this internship, you know what you're applying to, and it's something that you're really excited about. That's really going to help you get your foot in the door and show that this isn't just an application that you've sort of submitted en masse into the void. So it's a really great way to acknowledge what the hiring manager is looking for in that job posting, as well as sort of connect the dots between the things that they said they're looking for and the ways that you and your experience meet their needs for their intern program. So for resumes, you always want those to be submitted as a PDF document attached to, the application portal or the email that you submit your application with. With a cover letter, sometimes that can be in the body text of the email if you're submitting your application directly via email. But most of the time, you're going to be submitting applications through some sort of online portal. And especially if you're applying through internships, you will likely be submitting that through Handshake, which is our portal, in which case you can save both documents as a PDF file and submit them both together. And cover letters, of course, are another thing that we can help you give feedback on in a one-on-one meeting at Career Services. And the last thing I wanted to mention was that with your cover letter and resume, it's a great idea to sort of package yourself. You may hear the term personal brand thrown around a lot, and you can see in our examples here one of the ways you can do that. Now, these documents generally should be fairly visually simple, just because they're things that people are going to be reading fairly quickly. So you want to have the key points about yourself readily available for the hiring manager to read. However, building sort of a small visual brand with these can be helpful. One of the things I definitely suggest, like in this example, is having both of them have the same header where you can have like your name and your primary contact information, some of the most important information up there at the top of the page, but also have that sort of visual continuity to help that hiring manager keep your documents together, but also remember your name, remember who you are. And I'll hand it back to Rebecca.
So another thing that comes up sometimes with internships is a question about portfolio or samples of your work. I like to call it samples of your work just because your portfolio isn't really ready. It's kind of in process while you're a student. So when they're looking to see work, it's mostly just samples of what you have so far. And I also want to note that not all places you apply will ask for a portfolio or samples of your work. You want to read the job description, the application instructions, and get a sense of what they're looking for. If it's something like a graphic design internship and you're working with a creative team and you're doing actual design, they're likely going to ask for samples of your work. If it's working with an art gallery and there's a heavy administrative part of it, they probably will not ask for samples of your work, and your resume might be the thing that they look for. So it's good to just kind of read the job and look at the nature of the job description and see what skills they're asking for, because sometimes that can just be demonstrated with a resume and sometimes samples will be more helpful. If you are looking to share samples of your work, there are different ways you can do that. You can make a portfolio PDF. And share that and attach that just like you would attach a PDF of your resume. You want to also make sure if you're doing a PDF, make sure it's the size that can be emailed and it won't get bounced back. So you want to kind of make sure this file size is small enough that it won't hit any barriers when going through an email platform like Gmail. But another way that kind of avoids kind of the large attachment issue is using a platform like behance.net, which is a very well-known site and where a lot of employers actually look for talent when they're looking for art and design talent. So if you're going to use Behance, I recommend keeping it very simple and keeping it organized so that the employer knows in the first 5 seconds where to click. So like organizing it by projects or by type of work. So if you have a project called typography or UX design or character design, having it in a way that they know exactly where to click that's relevant to them. Make it easy to find, keep it very simple. You don't want to put all your work, you want to put your best work and just keep it short and sweet. So 3 to 6 projects maybe. Sometimes it is helpful to include process work because employers hire more for the process of how you get stuff than the final product. So sometimes seeing how you got to the final design or the final image can be helpful. And it's also helpful to use captions to describe what images they're looking at, what and kind of what the process was, because you're not there to talk through what they're looking at. So captions can help explain what exactly they're looking at. So next, I'm going to talk about getting an internship. And this is just an overview of some things to be aware of. So the most important thing to know is that if you're looking to do an internship, you drive the process. So that means that you are going to write a resume, start looking for places to apply, write a cover letter, hopefully get an interview and get an internship. And so you are kind of driving the process. It's going to be exactly the same as a job search after graduation. So part of the internship learning starts before you actually start the internship. Once you have the internship, that's when you register for credit and you start the internship. So to get an internship, you do want to start early because this takes time to kind of write a resume, to start finding places to apply. And there's also deadlines. So this and the handout that we gave out has this for you, but this is an overview of the timeline. Right now, summer is probably on your mind, and I have timelines for summer, and I have two because summer is popular for students, but it's also popular for employers. So many employers who are kind of more, big employers with more established internship programs start hiring early, and sometimes they start hiring as early as September before the summer of the internship. So this sometimes tends to be big companies. I know we got internships from Radio Flyer, some other big companies last fall. And sometimes their deadlines have already passed before you even get to the spring semester. For most employers will usually start hiring at the beginning of the year. So employers are starting to post their internships now. And probably the peak time to apply for summer internships is February, March, maybe April. So now is when you want to start making sure you have a solid resume and start paying attention to postings and deadlines and getting ready. And usually employers will start finalizing their interns in April or May. There are some exceptions to this. I had an employer email me today, say they're probably not posting their internships until May. So there are some times where there will be some latecomers, but that may not be the internship you want. So I'd recommend you start early and just keep paying attention to deadlines because I think they'll be coming pretty fast. The first place to look for internships is on Handshake. And Handshake is when an employer comes to us and wants to recruit MassArt students, we direct them to post in Handshake. So this is a central place where all internships we know about will be posted for you. And these are employers who've often reached out to MassArt in particular. When you're searching for internships on Handshake, they're not listed by major. And so it's good to use keyword search to find things. And this could be putting your major, like putting animation in there, but it could also be searching by software like Adobe Premiere, Photoshop, Illustrator, or like costume design, putting sort of like the areas. What it does when you do a keyword search is it takes that word and it searches all the postings with that word. So it's good to search using words that might be in your, your ideal internship posting. And you can use a couple different keywords and try them out. Handshake and most job platforms also allow for you to set up alerts. So you get an email every time a new opportunity is posted. And right now, since it is getting into the busy season, we are getting new internships submitted to us every single day. So there's this turnover that's happening on Handshake and other job boards that is kind of daily. And so it's a good way to be in the loop and not miss anything and to set up alerts. I would also, when you look at job postings, they'll often have an expiration date or an apply by deadline. I would recommend you never wait until that deadline to apply. The people who apply earliest most likely will get better, someone reviewing their resume more completely, and they often may not wait to the deadline to hire. So earlier is going to be better. So I would probably make sure to do that and not put things so much off to the deadline because employers may not wait. You are not limited to Handshake, so you can look on other job boards. And there's different ones. Some that I like Indeed.com. It's a job search aggregator, so it takes postings from a lot of different places and puts it in one place. So that's one place you can look. Hireculture.org is run by the Massachusetts Cultural Council, so it's focused just on Massachusetts and just on creative jobs and internships. So they don't have a huge number of listings, but it's very much focused on creative and Massachusetts. There are also professional associations in various industries that have job boards. So sometimes places like architecture, industrial design, graphic design, there might be specialized job boards in those areas. And you can look in different areas. We do have actually a list of as many we could find in our resources, which I will show you in a little bit. But you can look on other places. And you can also research by company. So you can go directly to companies you're interested in. Often they might have a internship page or job board on their website. So you can look for that. You can Google the company name plus internships and see what comes up to see if you can find it. You can also search by company on Handshake. Sometimes there's information on Handshake as well, and contact information. And you can also set alerts to get when companies post internships. So there's different ways you can find it. And generally when students find internships, I'd probably say like maybe 30 to 50% find on Handshake. A big majority find internships through other job boards, through doing your own research, your network like faculty and friends. That's kind of a big driver, because often you'll look at internship listings, but there's not the one you want, but maybe you know of a company that you're really interested in and you go to them directly. So again, you drive the internships that are out there. So don't be shy about doing some research and legwork and finding some things that are kind of more what you want to do. So another resource we have coming up is the Creative Internship and Job Fair. And this is February 26th from 12 to 3 p.m. This is a virtual event, and we will have representatives from creative employers coming virtually to campus. They're recruiting for internships and also entry-level jobs for graduating seniors. So it's all kind of mostly focused on things that would be of interest to current students. You're not going to get an internship at the job fair. This is more for information. So say you're interested in interning at the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, they're coming to the fair and you can meet with them either group session or if they offer one-on-one sessions, you can ask them about their internships, how to apply, what is a good way to be successful when you apply. You can get tips, kind of ask more questions about their program. So it's a way to kind of talk directly with a company and get some inside information about applying for that internship. If you're applying to a design firm and you don't know what they look for, you can meet with their representative and just say, what do you look for in a portfolio? What types of work do you like to see? And then you can go and cater your application specifically to what they're looking for. So it's a great way to kind of get info that will help you apply. If you're interested in a company or a field, a special field, and you're not sure about it, it's also a great way to just get information and get a sense of what it's like to see if you want to learn more or maybe even apply. So it's a good event, and I would recommend that you all go there and go to like at least 2 to 3 group sessions, maybe some one-on-one sessions, and just be curious and learn. And by going to a session, you're not committing to anything. Might be surprised by what a company offers. You might be in love with a company and then you go to the info session and you change your mind. It's a great way to help kind of refine your focus about what you want to do. So a little bit about career development. So like I said, you drive the process of getting an internship, but we are here to help you kind of each step of the way. So when you do your resume, we do resume critiques. We can help with that. We help with cover letters. We offer job and internship listings on Handshake, and we also kind of manage the credit-bearing internship program and process. And then we also do workshops and events like this. So I'm going to talk about the $2,000 internship awards. And so this is, we got the green light on this again for this year. So basically, you either to qualify for this, you'll want to get a summer internship and register it for credit by May 23rd. If you had a fall or have a spring internship and registered for credit, you're automatically in consideration for the award. So really, there's no application, you're just registering an internship. The other part of this is it's a need-based award, so you'll need a FAFSA on file. And what we do is we take a list of all the students who registered an internship for credit and send it to financial aid, and they cross-reference it with the FAFSA information. And then they select the recipients on a need-based basis. Both paid and unpaid internships would qualify. So even if you find a paid internships, you're still in consideration. And all undergraduate students are eligible for the award. Usually the recipients are selected in June, but you'll want to have the FAFSA and your internship registered by May 23rd. So that's kind of the main information about that. International students who are undergraduate students are also eligible for this award. There would be a separate form to complete for the financial information since you don't do a FAFSA. So I'm going to pause here. I know we're getting towards the end. If you miss it, we do have a raffle and there's a QR code in the back you can scan to enter the raffle. And then we kind of shared that to the virtual participants as well. Let's see. So I'm going to pause for any questions.
Oh, we did get a question on virtually.
Okay, you have a virtual question.
Just. I don't know.
There's one in the back. Yes.
Yeah, so checking Handshake, I saw that a few internships needed a GPA put in when MassArt doesn't calculate GPA. Do we just usually leave that blank?
So when an employer is asking for a GPA, they often they make the assumption. So you can either put that MassArt doesn't have a GPA, or sometimes if you go talk to the registrar about the policy, they might be able to help you either to approximate a GPA or have a kind of a statement about the GPA for MassArt that you could include.
Right.
So the registrar might be able to help you with that question. But yeah, it does come up sometimes, but just sharing information might be the way to address it. That could also be something that is kind of included in a cover letter saying you are aware they asked for a GPA, but MassArt doesn't give it. So, but the registrar can also help you with how to answer that question as well.
Thank you.
And I got a question about if the internships are just available for undergraduate students.
So internships, both undergraduate students and graduate students can do internships and for credit. The $2,000 award is for undergraduate students only. So you can do an internship, but the award would be limited to undergraduate students. Yeah, another question.
Is like usually including like projects through classes or personal.
So usually for samples of your work, it could be both. So often some of the projects that you're doing sophomore or junior year, there's some like basic components, and it depends on your major, that might be helpful. Personal work can also be helpful. I think the main guiding point is like what the employer is hiring for, because you want to demonstrate skills that they're looking for. So if they want typography skills and you send them character design, that's not going to help them. So you want to like match what they're looking for their internship to do. And then that might dictate what you want to kind of show them, because you want to demonstrate the skills that they're hiring for, not just skills in general. they'll want to kind of see something that directly relates to that job. So that's kind of how you might wanna match. If you have more questions about specific internships, you could talk to your faculty because they usually know the industry a little bit or what an employer might be looking for. Yes.
Before like the free credit and the award thing, does it have to be like in the country or can it be outside?
Internships for credit would have to be within the United States. For international internships, that typically is something you would do through study abroad. And so the International Education Center, they have kind of set study abroad providers that might have internships as a component as part of that experience.
There's another virtual question.
Okay, we're going to do a virtual question, then I'll come back to you.
All right, sorry. If no more group sessions are listed on Handshake for a company next week, or on the at the internship and job fair, should they still even go? They want to speak with GPH, but no sessions are listed.
So for the internship and job fair, and we'll talk more about this at our session next week called Prepare for the Fair. Employers have signed up for the fair and they either have or will be listing group sessions or one-on-one sessions. I think most employers haven't posted their sessions yet. So hopefully that will show up before the event. And so just because there's no sessions now, it's going to change up to the event. So they'll keep adding sessions and you can keep checking back to sign up. If you've RSVP'd for the fair, you'll get an alert when an employer adds sessions as well. And you had a question?
Yeah, I know you guys said you guys help with the resume process. You guys help with the process too.
The what process? We do have some resources for the interview process. So let me see if I can keep sharing my screen. Give me 1 sec. And I have to share this with Zoom as well. Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit. So how many of you have logged into MassArt Connect before? So a few. So we've put all of our information on MassArt Connect. So if you're looking for information about our resources, how to make an appointment, our internship program, the $2,000 awards, as well as the internship and job fair, it's all on MassArt Connect. So this is going to be your main resource for our stuff. In terms of resources for interviewing and also resumes, hold on. If you're going to Handshake, if you go to the Career Center, here you can do a couple different things. If you want to make an appointment for a resume critique, you can schedule that here. That automatically will put that appointment on our calendar. We also do cover letters, internship advising. If you are looking for resources, we have a section for resources. And this is where you'll find resume templates. So we have the top 10 resources for students. These are the most common ones. So we have resumes, cover letter guide. We have a list of where every single student has interned before for credit. So you can look at what other students in your major have done. We have some other resources and we have the interview guide in here as well. And we also have some other things for sharing samples of your work. So this is kind of the main place where the most common resources are. So you can access this anytime. We also have things more specialized. I put the internship timeline that I shared in here as well. We have even more resume and cover letter resources. So you can dig in deeper for different types of resumes, different formats. And I had mentioned other job boards. If you go to the internship search job search resources, there are going to be a lot of basically spreadsheets of lists of other job boards and other resources, some by major. So you can kind of dig in even deeper on a lot of this stuff. So that's all in Handshake in the Career Center. Cool. Does that answer your question? And a lot more questions?
Well, we also do, don't we also do like a workshop on interviewing as well at the very end?
We don't.
Oh, we did last year, but I think, there might
Yeah.
be some recorded.
Yeah, we
webinars.
might have, we have done interview workshops in the past. So if you go to resources, we've recorded past presentations. And so this presentation, all other presentations will be here. This takes you to our YouTube channel. So you can dig in even deeper on that.
There's another question from the chat here. So if they can't get an internship before graduation, they're applying since last summer and didn't get anything. So is it still, can they still get an internship?
It's, since graduation.
What if we can't get an internship before graduation?
I think if you're applying now and you're still you're not making progress, I would recommend, no matter what year you are, if you're applying and you feel like you're not making any progress, make an appointment with us, because some things, are hard to control. We can't necessarily control how companies respond or how they hire. But if you're finding that you're not getting anywhere, we can kind of help troubleshoot. Like, are there things that you can do on your own to help kind of improve things? If that could be revising your resume, thinking about your application strategy. How are you applying? Where are you applying? And that's kind of, that gets into more like case by case basis, but I'd recommend making an appointment, because maybe we can find like some simple things you can do that would help. Yeah, one more question.
You said for the internships, you needed a mentor,
Yes.
and would that be like on through the school, or should that be through
The mentor is with the company. So when you do an internship, the mentor always has to be on site with a company and a staff member. When you apply for credit, your faculty will approve it for credit. So they're the faculty advisor for the internship, but they're not mentoring. They're basically kind of looking it over and just making sure there's a learning component to it. But the mentor is with the person in the company or in the industry that you're interested in. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to switch it back to the presentation, and then we'll do the F1 portion of this. Give me one sec. And then if you didn't enter the raffle, do that on the way out, and we will pull a random winner at some point.
Just be careful.
I will.
Okay, so I'm going to pass this over to Maggie Sherlin to talk about F1 international students.
Sorry, there's a lack of.
Just gonna wait a minute, to let the students who are leaving get out.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
So I'm just gonna talk briefly. I just have 3 slides, so this will be quick. So I'll specifically speak to the internship process for our F1 international students who are sponsored by MassArt. So it's essentially the process for the legal authorization for you to do an internship when you're an F1 international student is called CPT, which stands for Curricular Practical Training. And at MassArt, CPT is authorized when you are registered for a 3-credit internship course. When you've been offered a job, you can be paid for it. And BFA students are eligible to apply for the $2,000 internship award, even if you are an international student. As far as the way that you apply for CPT is it's built into the career development process. Rebecca and I have worked on that over the years, and it's pretty seamless now, which is great for you. So there's a box that you tick when you're filling out your handshake information, just saying that you're an F1 international student. And that way, what happens is I am the I'm one of the people who signs off on it. When I sign off on your internship and approve it, I also authorized your curricular practical training in the CVIS immigration system. So you won't really notice a big difference between that and how it would be if you were not an F1 international student. There's no fee to do CPT. But the grad students will pay the course fee for the 3 credits. So that's something to keep in mind, just because the graduate students and undergraduate student tuition structure is different. And lastly, using CPT for 1 internship, even 2, has no effect on your ability to do optional practical training post completion, which is work authorization when you complete your degree at MassArt. So I do strongly encourage international students to use their CPT benefit and take advantage of that, because I notice a direct correlation between how successful international students are and in OPT, depending on whether or not they have done CPT/internships. So the eligibility, in order to be eligible for CPT, you have to have been in F1 status for 2 consecutive semesters, or 1 academic year. You have to have received an internship offer with a specified start and end date and approximate number of hours per week you'll be working. You should be able to show that the internship placement is an integral part of the academic program at MassArt. And the way that we verify that is the internship is approved by the MassArt Career Development Office and will be registered for academic credit. So it works well with the process that we have in place with our Career Development Office. Timing, Rebecca talked about this already, but just to reconfirm, it's the same timing with CPT, because it's essentially the same application. It's authorized before the start of the semester that you'll participate, whether that's fall, spring, or summer. And we use the career development timeline for that. If you are an F1 international student and you begin working before you're authorized for CPT, that would be a violation of your status. So make sure that everything is done and you've received your new I-20 immigration document with a new authorization before you begin work. And I said this already, but to repeat it, an F1 international student applies for the internship registration and CPT and Handshake all in one application. The international student advisor, that's me, will approve and authorize the CPT in the student's immigration record and then send a new I-20. That I-20, along with your passport, it is what shows that you're eligible to work in the United States. So that's it. I'm not sure why we held that timeline up, but
We put it again to remind them.
yeah. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are F1 international students here who have questions. And if not, if there are other students here who just have general questions, I can also turn it back over.
No.
No?
They'd like to be in session for brigade, but there are no more spots. That's for that. Oh, the internship after, okay. Well, I think we're all set with questions here.
Okay. Great. And if you have questions and you're an international student, come and see me. You can stop in during my office hours and I'm happy to chat with you. So
Oh, we have one more that came in. So as an F1 student, we should only apply for the handshake jobs?
no, no, it's not just the handshake jobs. You can apply for internships in general. And you want to look for internships, not jobs, because the internship as Rebecca went through, is a very specific type of position. It's not meant to be a job that you use to support yourself that's ongoing. It's a short-term learning experience. However, you can apply for internships that are advertised anywhere. You are not at all limited to Handshake. However, you do have to submit the application in Handshake just because that's the format that we use here at MassArt, where you submit the application. Yeah, for credit. That's how it works, so. Yeah,
I'm a master student and I need to pay the extra 3 credit fee. I'm supposed to do that process before I play the internship.
I think it's, I believe it's actually after, because it's, I'm trying to think, you get registered and then that's how they bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
have to get the internship and
you have to-
register.
you have to get the internship first, then put it through Handshake with all the sign offs, and then the last actual step is to register you for the academic credit, and then it goes to billing after that. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Great.
So I think that wraps up our session. If anyone has questions, you can reach us at careerdevelopment@massart.edu, and we're happy to. Is there another question? Okay, just okay. So that's all. And thanks everyone for coming. Thank you.
Now not overseeing the fair.